And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs. I'm your Shad White. If you didn't know, this is the jobs podcast, the business podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Dog is already on the couch. Told him not to go up there. And yet, here we are, defying my orders, Maverick. There's not a lot going on in terms of jobs today. You know what? I will say this. I've been as transparent before. I got an email yesterday, right after my mom doesn't text me for anything else. She texts me to make sure I'm not dead. I'm not kidding. That's pretty much it. Right after my mom texts me, what's going on for the week? And I said nothing. She goes, hopefully something will come through. A couple minutes later, I get an email that says, from that, if you remember last week, and the week prior to that, I'd done an interview with a company that I'd freelanced for before. They don't remember. Very true. And now I was told I made it to the third level of the interview process. Another round of applause. If you watch the video, let me go the opposite way. I give a round of applause. I do yoga, so I have to go one way. They have to go the other way too. Although sometimes it's as though they forget that the other side exists, and then they rush through the other side. Sometimes Peloton instructors were holding poses for like 3 minutes on one side, then like 240 on the other. I'm just saying. You know, I'm not going to throw it just Peloton. I'm going to say all yoga teachers do it too. You'll notice if you're watching the video, I'm wearing one of my other watches. It's a watch that is self-winding, which means I have to walk. I have to wear it in order for it to wind up because I'm sick of winding it every morning. Let me do one thing. Here's one thing before I get to I know this is a very serious show. It's not a show where I do jokes on purpose. Although the episode I planned was just going to be, it's going to be an OnlyFans episode where I called it The Launch, and I was going to just do, I don't know, I still do. I might do it next week, but this is the 30th episode. I got to be serious. And I was just going to do the launch of my my OnlyFans account, but truly the serious launch of it. But I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm going to OnlyFans.com right now. Anyway, so I've been walking around all morning doing my own what is this? Rodney Dangerfield impression. I thought it was very funny, and I would love to show it to you, the viewer and listener and viewer. I get more listens than I get views. Trust me. Trust me. The listens to this show eclipse the views, and trust me, the Constitutionals eclipse everything I've ever done compared to everything else. Here's my Rodney Dangerfield impression. All right, here we go. If you don't know who Rodney Dangerfield is, get your head out of your ass. All right, here we go. It's so stupid. My wife went on vacation. You heard that. My wife went on vacation. She took the pool boy. She says to me, I get no respect. She says to me, he knows how to treat a lady. I said, I go down to this broad once a year. I know how to treat a lady just fine. I get no respect. No respect. Okay, let's get on with this stupid show. LinkedIn Logs. We'll get to something serious now. We'll talk about that bridge collapse. No, that was very sad. In Baltimore. Okay, this first one comes from Michael M. Grinbaum over at the New York Times. Chuck Todd and Morning Joe hosts object to NBC's hiring of former RNC chair, Republican National Committee. If you didn't know, Ronna McDaniel, also I misspelled her name. No, I didn't. That's fine. If you don't know, Ronna McDaniel, who worked with the Republican National Committee and is one of, if not one of, probably a despicable human being. I was going to say one of, if not the most, but I don't want to gauge her on that. She was hired to NBC News to be one of their correspondents. And no one is happy about this. Now, this is not an unprecedented move of President Jesus on that SNL sketch from the Bill Burr episode, I believe. It's not an unprecedented move for a network or a news organization to hire outside of to hire somebody who does not typically agree with their thoughts and their ideals. Look at Shepard Smith. Shepard Smith was on Fox News, right? Is it Shepard Smith? Shepard Smith. Shepard Smith was on Fox News for years before he finally said, "I'm going to quit this job because these people are bad." And then he gets hired at CNBC to do a nightly news program, even though that dovetailed into nothing. I do think that I thought that show was I think wasn't it just called like The News or something like that? Let me look it up. I think it was just called like The News, or Shepard Smith Does News. What was it called? CNBC. The News with Shepard Smith. Holy cow! And that lasted for roughly 2 years, from September 2020 to November 2022. You know what? I think it was fine. It did not get enough viewers for what that cable network wanted. I'm going to turn myself up because I turned myself down, and now I can't hear. And then we have Chris Wallace, who also defected from Fox News, doing seemingly well over at CNN. And then previously, let's go back to NBC. We had, and I know I've talked about this before, Megyn Kelly. And I was rooting for her when she left Fox News and she came to NBC to do Today's Show. And she'd already said some things that I did not agree with. But then she went to NBC and I was like, you know what? It's redemption time. Anybody can be redeemed. There's a movie called Spirited on Apple TV Plus. I wish I could purchase it, but you have to watch it on Apple TV Plus. That stars Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, and it's really this movie came out after. I'll tell you this. I'll say this much. This movie came out after my thoughts on Megyn Kelly on her redemption arc, but her attempted redemption arc. But I do think anybody can be redeemed. Most people, let's say 99% of people. There are people that cannot be. But they have to work on it. And that's very important. They have to work on it. And I thought, and I'm just going to keep defending myself every time something like this comes up. I thought Megyn Kelly could do it. I said, Megyn Kelly, I'm behind you. I support you. I think you can be a good journalist. Let's see you redeem yourself. And then, bam, she does not do it. And she just gets worse and worse. Now she's on Sirius XM, probably as bad as ever. I don't know. I don't listen to her. I do have Sirius XM though, and so and sometimes I'll be scrolling through the app because they have an app, and then it'll be like, because you listen to CNN or MSNBC or Howard, you want to listen to Fox News? I'm like, no, I do not. Please, you listen to Megyn Kelly show? No, I'm good. Chuck Todd, who used to host the Sunday morning program, came out in defense, not in defense, just screaming live on air. There's a reason why there are a lot of journalists at NBC News uncomfortable with this. He said this on Meet the Press, the flagship political show he anchored for 9 years. MSNBC announced this on Friday that McDaniel will be joining as a political analyst, which is, I don't think, something that she is. I don't know if she's an analyst. I don't know if she's done journalism or anything. Some journalists at NBC were taken aback by the decision to hire Ms. McDaniel, citing her tenure at the RNC under President Donald J. Trump, when she regularly echoed Trump's criticisms of the news media and, in particular, the left-leaning programs on MSNBC. Joe Scarborough, at the top of Monday's edition of the influential MSNBC show Morning Joe, who himself was or is a Republican, echoed Mr. Todd's criticism, saying, quote, "We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it for several reasons," Mr. Scarborough told his viewers. His co-host and wife, Mika Brzezinski, added, we hope NBC will reconsider its decision." She goes on to say, "It goes without saying that Ms. McDaniel would not appear as a guest on Morning Joe." Oh, that's so funny. I mean, it's a bad move, and we see exactly what MSNBC or NBC News is trying to do with this. But it seems like a panic hire, if anything. It's like they want to get somebody to represent the other side of the coin, which is completely fine. That's what you should do for every news organization. However, especially ones that are showing their colors as, leaning one way or another. But then when you come up with somebody who worked with one of the most vitriolic presidents of all time, and then also was parroting what he said, it doesn't bode well. Doesn't fit with the style of what NBC News should be. This comes from Brian Steinberg at Variety. MSNBC anchor Hit Parade assails Ronna McDaniel hire at NBC News. Inexplicable, says Rachel Maddow. Now, Maddow, she's gone to hosting one episode a week of her show, so she took the time on this past Monday to talk about the hire of Miss McDaniel as a contributor, saying it was inexplicable. Let's see. It was part of her half-hour commercial-free monologue that painted the former Politico as one in a line of fascists and would-be usurpers who have tried to take over America's political process. McDaniel, who during her time, as Maddow says, is part of an ongoing project to get rid of our system of government. I wonder if Ronna had anything to, Ms. McDaniel rather, had anything to do. I wonder where she was during January 6th, of all things. During some of the most, I hate listing things, but like top 5 worst moments of Trump's presidency. Like, where was she and what was she doing at that time? Because we've heard that name before. If you pay attention to the news, you've definitely heard that name, and she's not a person that you want to work with. The on-screen outrage makes McDaniel's tenure at NBC untenable, according to people familiar with the workings of the news division, with most hard-pressed to think what producer or program would still have her make an appearance. Internally, some staffers are surprised that Cesar Conde, the chairman of NBC Universal News Group, or Rebecca Blumenstein, the president of news gathering at NBC News, have not reversed course on McDaniel. I don't understand why the decision was made in the first place. When you have people like Joe and Mika, and then Nicole Wallace on Deadline White House, or Joy Reid on The Readout, and Jennifer Psaki on Inside, all going to say something. And apparently, only Psaki delivered relatively succinct comments telling viewers that while she and McDaniel may both have backgrounds as political operatives, they could not be more different in the efforts in a news organization. McDaniel said Psaki, does not get us closer to anything in a political debate. Wallace and Reid, for their part, brought on guests, including a Yale legal scholar and conservative commentator, Charlie Sykes, to question the decision to put McDaniel on air as a paid contributor. Now, the crux of all of the ending to all this might come soon, because NBC executives, according to Brian Steinberg at Variety, NBC News executives are expected to decide Ronna McDaniel's fate in meetings. Every morning I wake up, I'm taking an Allegra. I start it around St. Patrick's Day so that I can beat my allergies. And it works. This morning I woke up at like 2 a.m. and my eyes were just so watery and itchy. And I was just like, please, let me just last 2 more hours. Let me just go until 3:55 when I wake up. And then I went back to sleep when I woke up and my eyes were fine. But I took my Allegra and then put in my contacts, brushed my teeth, did some warm up before I went to the gym. And I felt fine. But right now, talking on this microphone, I drank a lot of water. I'm very hydrated after the gym. Stretched. I am so stuffed up. I don't know what it is. Top executives from NBC News are expected to meet Tuesday to hash out the growing controversy around McDaniel's recent hire, according to 2 people familiar with the matter, in a bid to stop a growing insurrection a good choice of words, Steinberg, by NBC Universal Unit's editorial staff. There are some people who think NBC News may have to renege on its contributor deal with McDaniel because the growing internal outcry about her hire means many producers and anchors will be loath to book her on their programs. Others think NBC News could stand by its decision. At this point, I don't see where this is where this could be a win for NBC in either scenario. I think the right decision would be to fire her, to let her go, to just drop her butt. Because she is who she is. Again, it's not the fact that she's a Republican. They have conservative people on there all the time. It's the fact that she is up here, has been up there trumpeting what Trump has said, and even attacked MSNBC and its anchors before. It'd be like, let me put this in terms that everybody can understand. It would be like if Captain America hired the Red Skull to, I don't know, run his fan accounts. I couldn't think of, I thought Loki was the first villain I thought of, and I was like, nah, people like Loki. But yeah, I think I came out on top of that one. Journalists are quarrelsome lot and often disagree with the editorial mandates of the companies for which they work, but the backlash to the decision around McDaniel has resulted in uncommon displays of rancor. All of the NBC News' senior executives signed off on the plan to bring McDaniel aboard, according to people familiar with the matter. Yet under an unorthodox corporate structure, most of those people wouldn't be tasked with managing McDaniel's relationships with programs and producers. So it appears as though like this was, if there's 10 executives who said, hey, bring her in, then 6 of them, 7 of them, 8 of them probably wouldn't have to deal with her directly or personally. And they just kind of thought, this will bring in viewers, this will bring in people from Fox News who see that she's working with us, and we'll finally get, we'll get a little bit of defection from those places. But you have to understand, this isn't these people. She's not Shepard Smith. She's not Chris Wallace. There's no redemption arc here. This is somebody who's getting away scot-free. She's not getting charged with anything like Trump and his cronies are. She's someone who talks smack and then is getting rewarded for it. Yet under an orthodox corporate structure, most of these people wouldn't be... since the exit of former NBC News president Noah Oppenheim... Oh, it was almost an explosion. In January of last year, NBC News has been broken up into smaller units, each with its own leader. Today has its own leader. Nightly News, Meet the Press, Dateline. That's crazy. NBC, MSNBC, CNBC. McDaniel's hire seems a bid to gain access to the thing of the current Republican Party, as what I said, was announced by Carrie Budoff Brown. Budoff. That's like the Pokemon on Pokemon Go that I just throw away all the time. Like, get out of here. I'm catching you because I need to get this thing, and then I need you to get out of here. Why am I talking about this? I talk about CNN all the time. I can't just crap on CNN because I used to work there. I need to talk about news in general. All right, let's move on. Why are office rentals still so expensive? This comes from the Wall Street Journal, written by Peter Grant. You see this all the time in New York, especially. You see places that are charging out the wazoo, buildings that are charging out the wazoo for companies to just have their offices there. But then a lot of companies, excluding Google, which just announced this week that last week that everybody's got to come back to the office or they forfeit their jobs. Something along those lines. Let me Google remote work. Yeah, they changed the way they did it. Okay, yeah, they're cracking down on hybrid work. Okay, anyway, just want to make sure I look insane. Oh, he's wrong. But offices are either being updated. I saw there's a piece on New York Times that talked about how law offices in New York are moving from older buildings to newer buildings where they have more updated hardware, more updated desks and stairs and libraries are being downsized because you can have everything digital. But they're still costing so much money. Average U.S. asking office rents are $35.24 a square foot compared to $34.92 in the fourth quarter of 2019, according to data from CoStar Group. Higher asking prices are a reflection of the seemingly oddball way the commercial real estate market works. Rents are a critical metric used by lenders and others to determine the value of a property. Owners will do everything they can to avoid cutting them, even if it means keeping space vacant because the rental prices deter prospective tenants. This is a world I don't completely understand. And if the job can be done hybridly or remotely, then in some cases it should be done that way. I don't know why companies want to bring people in to work. I mean, maybe it says, hey, you're going to be more efficient if you work from the office, which might partially be true. But now, I mean, post pandemic, we're in a world where people have new obligations at home, or they just feel comfortable and work better at home. I know my sister, she prefers to have a remote job because it's better for her, because now my brother-in-law travels all the time, so for work, and so it's easy for them to just travel together and she can work from wherever he's working from. I like to have hybrid work because I like to get out of the house, but also, hey, I kind of want to go to Trader Joe's at 9 a.m. on a Friday and just grab my stuff and then come home. Or people take care of pets. People take care of children. Landlords who cut rent significantly to fill up office space, quote, would significantly reduce the appraised values of their buildings, said David Bittner, the head of global research for Newmark Group, a commercial real estate services firm. This in turn can lead to a covenant default in their loans, or at minimum would make it harder for them to refinance. Office rents are expected eventually to tumble, probably after owners and lenders are forced to restructure mortgages or sell distressed properties. And that's all the important stuff. When does in 2021, when things were opening back up and people felt more comfortable going outside and doing things and then going into the offices and everything, no one could have thought, because we were so ready to sit with this reality of, hey, now I can work from home. I can do anything. I can take a Peloton class at home, and then I can go to my meeting as soon as I finish this class. Or hey, when my kid takes a nap, I can enjoy a long lunch. But then when 2023 hit, things were changing rapidly. So all this, the worlds of we're going to be living with COVID forever was we still are, because people are still getting it, but it is less so than what at least I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, there's all these, there's going to be different strains of COVID, and now we're still going to be wearing masks. Now I go to a concert. I saw what I see at the Fox. I saw Hamilton at the Fox. I'm one of 7 people wearing a mask. I'm trying to get sick. People eating their popcorn at a theater. Come on, we're at a theater. Dress up. I put on chinos. I put on a shirt. I biked there. People walking in shorts. It was cold, so actually, hold on. People walking in sweatpants. They were walking in sweatpants. I don't want to hear crinkling while I'm trying to watch a play. People clapping too much. It's like a curmudgeonly old man. And still, though, now everything has changed and kind of gotten better quicker. So what are we supposed to do with that instead it appears as though like jobs and even the world, like we're forcing it back into what it used to be prior to the pandemic. Whereas it should be different. Things should be modified. I'm not one of those people that's like, we need a 3-day weekend and 40-hour work weeks are bad. But there should be a little bit more lax to the rules when it comes to both of those things, both a 3-day weekend and both a 40-hour work week. Because we've come through this thing and we saw how much stress the entire world can experience. And then you look at other countries, as our president once called it, shithole countries. But you look at all those other countries, you look in Europe and they take 2-hour breaks in the middle of the day and no one's working. And they're much happier. Maybe we should start adopting that. And maybe we should not, and to bring it back to the point of the offices, maybe we shouldn't be so stringent on office space. All right, and this final thing, this came up late last week. This comes from Ars Technica, written by Ashley Bellinger. Users ditch Glassdoor, stunned by site adding real names without consent. Now, Glassdoor is a lot like LinkedIn, except you can leave anonymous reviews of your employer. I love it because I will give a real review. Hell, I'll give a real review to my employer to their face. There's only what jobs would I say? What jobs would I talk? There's multiple jobs where I would just say this person was not good at leading me. There's 2 jobs I would say this is a bad company. Bounce TV, now owned by EW Scripts. And who would I put as bad? Probably say the Weather Channel. You know what? Let's throw WXI in there too. But what was very special about Glassdoor is that people would give honest, hard thought out reviews of their employers. Now Glassdoor has recently begun adding real names to user profiles without people's consent. And look, I'm an advocate. I would love for people to have their usernames, their real usernames, tied to their real names on the internet. I want to see who are these people thinking they're so tough posting. I talked about Don and Elon, Don Lemon and Elon Musk chat last week, the podcast interview, and then I went to Twitter to go see. This is a very bad decision on my part. I went to Twitter to go see. It was rumored that Elon Musk and Twitter were suppressing the actual tweet of the entire interview from Don on Twitter itself. And I went and unfortunately for myself, I went to that tweet and scrolled down and looked at some of the comments, and boy. Again, they should be tied. Your real name should be tied. If you're confident enough to post that anonymously, then you should be confident enough for people to know who you are. Just like January 6th. Just saying. Although it's common for many online users to link services at sign up to Facebook or Gmail accounts to verify identity and streamline logins, for years, Glassdoor has notably allowed users to sign up for its service anonymously. But in 2021, Glassdoor acquired Fishbowl, a professional networking app that integrated with Glassdoor last July. The acquisition meant that every Glassdoor user was automatically signed up for a Fishbowl account, and because Fishbowl requires users to verify their identities, Glassdoor's terms of service changed to require all users to be verified. And unfortunately, this is something else that I notice about Glassdoor, which I don't use anymore because it's a bad site. It's just not a good website. Is every time that you go there, at least for me, this has happened for months, for the last couple of several months when applying to jobs, is that every time I go there, it has asked me to leave a review or else I can't go to the site. I've reviewed every job I've been at, and I can't go to the site. Like what if someone's been at the same job for 5 years, and they've already given the review 2 years into their tenure, and now they've got to go back and re-review? Roger Ebert is not going to go back and well, he's dead. But he's not going to go back and review old movies. Roger Ebert's not going to rise out of the grave. Oh, God. I feel so bad. Couldn't even speak the last couple of years, and I'm sitting here teasing him. He's not going to come out of the grave and go, Titanic, thumbs down. Oh, couldn't even speak. I feel bad. The Electronic Frontier Foundation regularly defends Glassdoor users from being unmasked by retaliating employers, particularly for employees who fear retaliation for reviews. Aaron Mackey, Aaron Mackey, I'm bouncing all over this place, said that, who is the lawyer for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, excuse me, said that Glassdoor users could historically choose never to share their real names, and the company now storing names for all users makes it much more likely that users could be linked to the reviews should Glassdoor data ever be subpoenaed or leaked. And you can just ask for court records. Just ask my wife. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. And also, I don't have a wife. No woman wants to be with me. Can you imagine if you'd given a fair, and I'm not going to be one, because I'm not one of those people that's just going to go to Glassdoor and be like, this is the worst place I've ever worked, or this is the best place I've ever worked. I want to give a fair and decent review. I gave a review for my apartment complex. And here's a short aside, because I know this episode's going long, but I was at the pool last year, and I'd given a review. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and I gave a review for my apartment complex because I've been having trouble with just the management up front. and I wrote a review, and it was very fair, and I gave them 3 stars. Also my heat was busted, so it was like the sun. So the sun was always hot in here, and my heat was not working for 2-3 weeks, and they gave me a portable AC, which was making my electric bill disgusting, in other words, and they would not do anything about it. So anyway, I gave them a very fair critique, I maxed out the words on Google reviews, and I gave them 3 stars, and I said though they could earn the 4th star back by taking care of people in the leasing office. Like they need to treat people like they're humans, and then also fixing my heat and all this other stuff. I'm like just like one more thing, and so I wrote that review, and it's one of the most thumbs up or like viewed reviews on for the property, because every other one is like, I hated it here, or I loved it here, or just something like that. I just gave them very fair, very just valid critique. And I'm sitting at the pool. It's 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and I'm reading a book, and this woman and her son are being taken on a tour, and let's say there's like 4 or 5 other people, 2 girls next to me at the pool. And she goes with the 2 girls first, which also, by the way, it's a giant pool. Don't sit next to me. There's other places for you to sit. I'm by myself. I pulled the chair over to a corner for a reason. Anyway, she goes and talks to them, and I'm like, why is this lady talking to these people? I don't know why she's doing this. I have my headphones in. I'm like, why? What in the world? Like, why are you just talking to them? And she comes over to me. She's a very, I would say, straight out of New Jersey mom. And she comes over. She's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, hey. I'm like, okay. Hey. And we talk for a little bit. And she goes, how do you like living here? And she's like, oh. And I'm like, oh, you know, I tell her some things. She goes, can I tell you something? I recognized you from your review. And I went, whoa, I'm famous. And then she, like, very candidly, she's like, don't go anywhere else, because we've toured every other apartment complex in the area, and they're all charging so much money. It's astronomical. And I'm like, you're right, you know, you're right. And then she goes, all right, well, you know, I hope my son moves here, blah, blah. And she says bye, and we leave. And I was like, that was a very enjoyable conversation. But, you know, all that to say is, my name is tied to that Google account and a Google review, but it's that way because I put it that way, and no one should be forced into using those services if they don't want to. Even if I say, hey, every name on Twitter and on YouTube comments needs to be your real name. No one should be forced into it. They should have to opt in. And even if you change your terms of service and somebody logs on to Glassdoor after a couple of weeks and they see terms of service update and they just go, okay, without a second thought, then you need to tell them in blind statement. Like, have you ever, tell them in blind statement that, hey, this is what's happening. Have you ever sat down and looked at terms of service? I've read through a couple of terms of services. I've read through my lease. In my lease, it says you can't turn off your air and open the windows and have, even like on a windy day, and have that be your air conditioning. They said you cannot do that. That's an insane thing. It makes sense, because if you close your windows and then you forgot to turn your air back on, and you probably get roasted. What are those? Kidding. Glassdoor said it's going to defend users' anonymity. I don't know if that's completely true. I mean, things get hacked all the time. Glassdoor is, especially with his acquisition of Fishbowl, is ruining its tenure, and I don't want to use it anymore. I'm clicking onto it right now. I don't want to use it anymore. Because first of all, this website, I have not been here in a while. To restore your access, we ask that you contribute, write a review, or add a salary. It's a social platform more than it is a jobs platform. They're trying to compete with LinkedIn, and it's not working. Hey, we're done here. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, c+comedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. I just recorded 2 interviews. One of them will not be in video form, unfortunately. And it's a big name, but the way that it was recorded, not my fault, it means that things have changed. So be on the lookout for those. If you want to see those, go to youtube.com alongside the website, cpluscomedy.com. Go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy to see those interviews in video form, as well as a video version of this show, along with video versions of the other 2 podcasts, The Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news podcast, and Late Night Lately, the late night show. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to any social media platform, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, more than likely, and follow us at C+Comedy. Me, I'm at Chad Black White. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of LinkedIn Logs.